After a pope dies, there is a time-sensitive need to appoint a successor. This is done through the sacred selection process called conclave or conclave. Conclave is a time-honored tradition shrouded in secrecy that takes place in the Vatican following the vacancy of the papacy. This can be due to the death or resignation of a pope. Now, who can participate in conclave? Those eligible to participate in the papal conclave are cardinals who are under the age of 80 at the time of the conclave's commencement. This age rule has been in place since 1970 and ensures that the electors who gather to choose a new pope are active members of the church leadership. The practice of only cardinals being elected pope stems from a long history of procedural evolution in the Catholic Church. Canon law technically states that any unmarried, baptized Catholic male, clergy or not, is eligible to become pope. However, it has been over 600 years since anyone other than a cardinal was elected as pontiff. This tradition emphasizes the significant role that cardinals play within the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, not just in administrative and advisory capacities, but also in the critical process of selecting a pope. The system for electing a pope has developed over almost 2 millennia, with a significant turning point in 1059 when the College of Cardinals was formalized. The tradition of locking cardinals in a room to elect a pope began during the conclave of 1268, when a prolonged deadlock led local authorities to confine the cardinals, restrict their provisions, and partially remove their roof to force a decision. This resulted in the election of Pope Gregory X, who then formalized the practice at the Second Council of Lyon in 1274, establishing the conclave as a method to ensure secrecy and urgency in papal elections. If you're wondering if a cardinal has to be healthy to be eligible to become pope, well, the Vatican does not explicitly mandate that a cardinal must be in perfect health to be elected pope. The primary requirements for eligibility to be elected in a papal conclave are being a male and baptized, and of course, in modern times, also being a cardinal. The emphasis is really on spiritual, moral, and leadership qualities rather than physical health. However, the role of the Pope is demanding, and there are instances where considerations about a candidate's health might inform the cardinal's decision or decision-making process during a conclave. And so, cardinals might actually consider the ability of a potential pope to manage the physical and mental demands of the papacy when casting their votes. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, what exactly is a cardinal? A cardinal is appointed by the Pope, typically from among bishops, or highly distinguished members of the Catholic clergy. The Pope chooses individuals known for their theological knowledge, pastoral experience, and dedication to the Church. Once appointed, they're given the title of cardinal. They're primarily tasked with advising the Pope, governing the Church, and participating in the conclave, as you already know. And then finally, cardinals are distinguished by their red vestments, which symbolizes their readiness to defend the faith, even to the point of bloodshed. Now let's look at the conclave's process itself. The papal conclave is a detailed and strictly confidential process involving several ceremonial and procedural stages. Before the formal start of the conclave, all cardinals participate in general congregations to discuss the needs and challenges of the Church, and to consider the qualities needed in a new pope. These meetings are also used to handle the day-to-day affairs of the Vatican during the period of sede vacante, meaning when there is no reigning pope. On the appointed day, cardinals from all over the world move into the Vatican and into the Domus Santa Marta, where they reside during the conclave. They then participate in a special mass called Pro Eligendo Pontifice, which means for the election of the Pope. This will happen in the morning of the first day of conclave. Then, that afternoon, they solemnly walk to the Sistine Chapel, chanting the Litany of the Saints, followed by the Veni Creator Spiritus, or Come Creator Spirit, to invoke the Holy Spirit. Then each cardinal takes an oath of secrecy, pledging to maintain confidentiality about all matters related to the election process. This oath is taken inside the Sistine Chapel, where the voting also takes place. After all preparations are in place and just before the voting process begins, the Master of Papal Liturgical Celebrations gives the command extra omnes, which in Latin means everyone out. This directive commands all those not authorized to participate in the voting process to leave the chapel, ensuring that only the cardinal electors remain inside to vote. At this point, the doors of the Sistine Chapel are then closed to everyone except the cardinals. Then the chapel is secured from the inside and the outside, together with measures that are taken to prevent any form of eavesdropping or communication with the outside world. Key personnel, such as the Master of Papal Liturgical Celebrations who issued the extra omnes, and any assistants who have roles in the voting process may stay as required but will leave once their specific duties are completed. The sequestration of the Sistine Chapel signifies the start of the conclave in earnest, making the transition into the period where the cardinals focus solely on the election of the new pope. This enclosed environment is also meant to facilitate a reflective and prayerful atmosphere free from external influences. No later than the afternoon of the first full day, a single vote may be held. Cardinals use paper ballots with the phrase eligo in summen pontificem, meaning I elect a supreme pontiff. If no decision has been reached, the cardinals may wait until the next morning to continue voting. In the subsequent days, 2 ballots are held in the morning and 2 in the afternoon until a pope is elected. Each voting session involves cardinals writing the name of their choice on a slip of paper, which they then fold and deposit into an urn. The votes are counted by 3 cardinal scrutineers, chosen randomly each day. Each vote is then read aloud. The ballots are pierced with a needle through the word eligo and threaded into a string, ensuring accuracy in counting. After counting, if no candidate has received at least 2/3 of the votes, a requirement at least in normal circumstances, another vote is taken. If a pope still hasn't been elected after 3 days of consecutive voting, the process may be paused for a maximum of 1 day to allow for prayer, informal discussion among the cardinals, and a brief spiritual exhortation. After each vote, the ballots are burned, signaling the voting progress to the world. Black smoke or fumata nera signals that no decision has been reached, while white smoke, fumata bianca, along with the ringing of the bells of St. Peter's Basilica, signals that a pope has been elected. By the way, to produce that black smoke, the paper ballots are burned with a mixture of chemicals. Once a cardinal receives the necessary 2/3 majority of the votes, the dean of the College of Cardinals, or the senior cardinal deacon, asks the newly elected pope if he accepts the election results. After the new pope accepts the election results, then he proceeds to announce his chosen papal name. Then the newly elected pope appears on the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, where the senior cardinal deacon announces the famous Habemus Papam. After which the new pope will issue his first blessing, Urbi et Orbi, to the city and to the world. Now for our trivia question. What country has produced the most amount of popes? Germany, Italy, France, or Greece? You can type your answer down in the comments and I will let you know if you're right or wrong. Thank you so much for watching and remember to always seek to expand your world. See you in my next video.